let's get ready to hop right back into it, shall we? With good old Elf, because I was not in a very creative naming space last week. And if the worst should happen, which it obviously won't, we'll definitely be winning with this character, but just in case if, I will make my promises now that I'm not feeling much more creative this week, so I am sure I will struggle just as much with coming up with a name there, but hopefully not something we'll have to worry about. We of course had just learned Irradiate and Freezing Cloud, setting a little bit of precedent for how this run will look, at least for the near future here. Spoiler alert, chances are these 4 spells will be seeing a lot more use, especially these 2 right here, but we'll see how it all continues to unfold here, so I guess nothing to do but jump to it, shall we? And, ooh, a shape-shifting talisman. Hello, friends. Oops, good start as I immediately cast the incorrect spell. Perfect work. And let us just keep you kiddos caught up in the corner there. Oh, this is already looking horrible. I'm down a lot of mana. Of course, using the Fulminant Prism there actually creates a lot of noise. That's probably a bit of a reason why things immediately got drastic, but we'll teleport out of there with our one singular teleport scroll, and then hopefully be able to level out from here. Let's maybe be a bit more cautious, or just find an upstairs right away. That works as well. Fantastic. But we'll have to try to keep that in mind slightly. I don't have the infinite magic reserves of a genie here at our disposal, and so it's a bit more important that we pay attention to the noise we're making and how long these encounters go on for. Fortunately, though, a few Howler Monkeys, while not being very good in regards to that whole statement I just made about noise, seeing as how they're almost as bad as the Fulminant Prism. Not quite, but they're close. But I will need to use one of those prisms here just to make sure that we wipe out our new friends before they get too much work done against us. But again, this time, because we're standing on the stairwell, it's a little more straightforward to just play it on the safe side. And hello, my reptile friend. Now you, horsey boy, are going to be a little bit more of a problem. We're not in a great spot for dealing with a centaur at the moment, so potentially we'll just leave that stairwell for the time being. In fact, coming back down, it's not the end of the world, because I can step up next to you. You unfortunately do have a weapon. You hate to see it. But we just wait for our prison to proc. It does take you out. Almost not in time. That last hit we took was brutal, unfortunately. But again, we live to tell the tale. We live to fight another day, at least for this very moment in time. Of course, something that I probably should have been thinking about there is this Irradiate. 10% failure is not too bad. It is red failure, so if things go wrong, potentially drastically so, or rather it would go wrong in a drastic fashion, so a little bit of 6 one, half dozen of the other, but at least something to keep in mind for the future here. We don't have to always rely on Fulminant Prism. We have a bit of a selection. Of course, we are training, if we open up our skills menu properly, there we go, Ice Magic at the moment to try and bring that Freezing Cloud to a more castable rate. I don't know if this is actually the best call for us here in retrospect. It is about to hit the cap, and then we can make the decision from there, but I'm thinking about changing over to Conjuration, since that will at least get a bit of overlap, especially once these are a bit more equal in their failure rates. This is a triple spell school, so it will come down a bit slower even with that Conjuration training. So, you know, not the end of the world. It does kind of justify the training of Ice, at least a little bit. But hey, I guess we'll worry about that in a few moments here. when we are able to make our way up. Ooh, and we can now bring forth the wretched and the dying. So what the heck do you do, Kiku? Bring forth those near death from Kiku's necropolis, provide ample fodder for all kinds of necromancy. The number and quality is dependent on necromancy skill. Interesting. Not actually sure what this will look like in practice. The thing that is a bit more straightforward is that Kiku did grant us some necromancy spells here, so we can start thinking about that. Fugue of the Fallen, I believe, is when we kill people, they come back as zombies. So this is something that we've definitely seen similar mechanics to in the past. Casting the spell releases the grip on the souls, set any bonus, and the cacophonous wailing of the dead may attract unwanted attention while you maintain it. Good to know. Good to know. I guess we should actually read through this in total here, but each non-summoned enemy the caster or their ally slays attracts more vengeful souls into our weapon. Oh, it enhances our melee and ranged effectiveness. Never mind, this is not what I thought it was whatsoever, and this is why we read. Very important. But when it reaches its maximum, every hit will unleash a glimmer of the dead suffering, causing pain damage to each foe adjacent to your target. So we get a bit of cleave as well. Unlikely to ever really play too much of a role on this character, just because melee with a deep elf is not the best, to put it lightly. On the flip side, vampiric draining could give us some recourse for when inevitably enemies do come into melee range, so that's a bit more useful to at least potentially have in the back pocket. I don't think we'll worry about it a whole lot for the time being here, though. Okay, we don't have access to Invo here, so this failure rate I'm guessing will come down with just more piety. We did just hit the bare minimum floor for getting access to the ability, so that makes a certain amount of sense in its own right. So okie dokie, I guess for the moment here, we'll kind of keep on keeping on as you were and all that good stuff. And we'll just keep all of that in mind as something to potentially pay attention to in the future. Hello, my orc priest friend. We are back to making a hell of a lot of noise, but it's a little bit less risky when we've at least started exploring the floor. Hopefully, at the very least. A few less enemies to be attracted by the unwanted attention we're bringing upon ourselves. But we shall see, I guess, how it goes here. And I mean, already it's looking like, oh, right, I was about to say most of the floor is taken care of, but I knew this black bear was here. Hello, my friend. My Ursine friend, I think is what we'll be calling you. But okie dokie, we do, in fact, hit that skill cap as mentioned, so I think a bit more conjuration training would be nice. It's kind of good to have in general as well. We do have a +2 in necromancy. So I guess if Kiku keeps handing us more necromancy spells and we eventually find something that's a little more in the oeuvre that we're interested in, should be a fairly quick train up to get that available. So we'll keep an eye on that, or at the very least try to keep an eye on that as we continue forward here. But for the time being, let's not worry too much, or at least not too over much here. And the remaining floors of the dungeon, at least for the foreseeable future here, as long as I don't keep accidentally casting the wrong spells, that is, should go all right. Joseph will get another chance to launch some sling bolts at us. Oof. I'm tempted to try and take you out. Okay, perfect. That actually went a little bit better than expected, even though it very easily could have cascaded into a horrendous situation there, so I'm glad to see it. Did kind of ask for that one, walk straight into an attack, but it was largely so that we could be a little bit more mana efficient. And I mean, the fortunate flip side of it is that we do deal enough damage with each of these casts to make it kind of worth it in the interim period there. But let's finish off our final buddy here. Ooh, a Maimon with a Wand of Charming. Ooh, unfortunately, we're not in a great spot for Fulminant Prisms. So I think what we'll do here is just back off for the moment. Why, hello there. Tons of new friends to be made. I am making short work of all of these sons of guns, fortunately, so that is fantastic. Not too shabby, all things considered. And we may be ready to continue our general exploration of the floor. Need to be a little more cautious that when we are using IMB, we're successfully throwing our weight around with these sons of guns. And you know what, if we just head upstairs and wait out all of our mana regeneration, then we should have no problem taking care of a couple of our sheepish friends here. Beautiful. And then we can just jump right back to it. Eventually we will come back across our dear friend, a Maimon there, but can at least take a moment, a bit of a breather here, to let enemies come to us. I'm curious where our water moccasin friend went, but I guess we could potentially make a little bit more noise here, rather. If I could just learn how to speak once more. And then potentially, no water moccasin, that's cool too. Hey Chavley, mutton for dinner again, this dungeon, or you don't eat anymore. Don't have to eat, but if we want to engage in a little bit of deliciousness here, wouldn't be against it. Ouch. Okay. I mean, I think I will waste a curing potion. And I'm glad I did, because Bio immediately tries to pull a fast one on us. So I will charm that buddy just in time for them to get blown to smithereens. I do apologize. But there we go. I actually had a thought at the back of my head when we saw an Orc Priest earlier. It's like, I should probably be scared here, but we'll be fine. And then nothing came of it. We immediately took care of them, barely took any damage, lulled me into a false sense of security. But that right there is a bit more what we should come to expect from Smiters, at least at this point in the run. Terrifying, for sure. As a high smite priest, holy cow, no kidding. No, they were not fooling around, to say the least, but fortunately, not the end of the world here. And now we can kind of just juggle our new friends back and forth. Perfect, having just enough mana to make it through that encounter. What was that? 5 smites? I don't even know if it was up to 5, because I think they were basically just all hitting max. Because yeah, I think it was potentially 3 and then cured and another one. And that's it. That's all we could afford, because then we were at 8 health, and even an average hit would have taken care of us with no real issues. So again, a good little bit of a wake-up call. There's nothing quite as anti-hubris as a near-death experience. So as long as we make sure that the focus is on that first word, it's the operative word is a near-death experience, and then we can learn from that mistake, hopefully, and in the future not have quite as many problems. We did also pick up these boots and this new helmet, so we should retreat back to a semi-safe environment here, and we can toss those bad boys on. Don't accidentally put on the harm helmet, because oh boy, would that Orc Priest encounter have gone on for a lot less time. I think a couple of smites would have just taken care of our entire 50 HP without too much care in the world, so yeah, maybe we'll stay away from harm for now, at least until we're a little bit more of a blaster than just a caster in training here. Orc Priests are either totally useless or wreck your day, no in between. Exactly. There are only 2 guaranteed things with Orc Priests, that being the first, and the second being if you're playing a Hill Orc that you plan on following BO, you just won't find one. They just don't exist anymore. Good luck until you get to Orc running into a single Orc Priest. And I wouldn't have it any other way. It's the flavor of life, I guess. But okie dokie. We did hit the Conjurations cap that we were aiming for there as well, so we're down to 6 and 7% on Irradiate and Freezing Cloud respectively for failure rates. So that's probably good enough to start working into our routine here. Specifically what I think I'm going to do is change out Freezing Cloud with Magic Dart. We'll keep Magic Dart in our quick quiver, so there's no real need to keep it on one of our quick macro keys that we use for spellcasting. And we'll instead have Freezing Cloud as an option. Which we could actually start using a little sooner than expected. I will start by blasting you. You know, let's do it. 7% failure rate. Small chance I get some on myself there. Fortunately, is not the case. Oh geez. As I start to lose my ability to speak, I was hoping to take a little bit further into stream. A couple days ago, I was doing quite poorly with the sore throat. Mostly cleared up today until, of course, this very moment. Fantastic timing as always. Bodily functions, love to see it. But such is the way of the world, as it were. But a 2-headed ogre shouldn't be too much of an issue. Again, if we just keep juggling them in our Frozen Cloud. And now it's looking real nice that we got said Freezing Cloud fully operational just in time for all of our new friends. Why, hello there, my Orc Priest buddy. Fancy seeing you here again. Well, we'll just probably step away from the situation here for a moment. Fantastic. Let's actually mute my mic. Try to get things cleared up a little bit more. But okie dokie, not too bad overall. We've definitely used this floor as a little bit of a proof of concept, and I'm pretty happy with what we're seeing. I wanted to double check drops on the floor here because we did take out that white pack, and I meant to be peeking at any potential options for our future. I mean, the Demon Whip of Venom from a Maimon might actually be the call here. Fortunately, Demon Whips attack very quickly. In fact, if we pick this son of a gun up and take a peek at it, already almost at 1 attack per turn here. So that's not too bad. We could enchant this up, eventually rebrand it. It's a nice little backup weapon. It's not like I really plan on switching away from our current staff here because the poison resistance, as well as a little bit of poison on attack, if we ever have to resort to that. Again, fingers crossed. As a deep elf, that's not exactly in it's not even just, that's not plan A. It's not really in the dictionary for plans A through F. You know what? I should have left immediately. I thought about it, decided, let's try to wing it slightly here for the moment. 49% chance to make friends with you. And if I do it one more time, I'm so sorry, buddy. You did not deserve that unfortunate end. The ultimate betrayal. I guess top 10 anime betrayals over here. But it is what it is. AC would increase by 4 with that. If we take a look at our spells, Freezing Cloud being the main one to be peeking at, does bring that to an uncastable range. I mean, all of our starting spellbook stuff is still looking okay. So that might actually be worth the additional AC. That's a tough one. We'll see what else this floor throws our way. If it's starting to look a bit more on the unsurvivable side, and then we can always pivot, or at least hopefully we recognize such early enough to still be able to pivot. We did use some Fulminant Prisms, so once again we are going to be bringing a decent amount of attention to us here. But that's not the end of the world. Let's just play it safe even against a single yak. So yeah, a bit of mun. Looks like meat's back on the menu, boys. Hey, Thalfon. How does the Kiku run go? Oh, very well. It's still early days for good old Kiku. Bakudga? Maybe? If I had to guess. Throw out something there. I feel like at some point I had someone in chat kind of spell it out for me linguistically, and I've completely forgotten how I should pronounce this name, but regardless, good old Kiku. Kiku, do you love me? But it's going well, all things considered. Still haven't used unearthed wrenches. Now that I think about it, this hasn't gone down much. We have gone up a decent bit of piety here as well. Do Kiku's godly abilities use necromancy skill? I could see that being an interesting one. Usually go with Kiku Baksuda or Sudga. I hate trying to pronounce X's in English. I feel like Chinese had the right approach there, where I think most X's, or like the equivalent of, make a sh sound. I definitely find that a bit more forward. Oh, where X is that German sh sound. Oh, okay. Never mind. You actually did spell it out for me already, Thalfon. I just thought I'd stumble through it using my dumb English language here. You have zero clue if it's correct, though. I think we all operate on a similar basis with the majority of nomenclature in the game here. Plate armor, almost no chance I'll ever be wearing that. I could buy gloves. When you're sitting at, what is it, like 6 AC now? 1 AC alone does actually make a pretty significant difference. So may live to regret that, or even not live to regret that, potentially, if worse comes to pass. But that's not the end of the world here. And oh my gosh, it's a spellbook shop. I've gotten so used to just completely ignoring these and not worrying about it, but we're finally on a character that actually kind of does matter again. I mean, Book of Spheres is probably going to be on the list for us there. Let's definitely mark that. Ooh. Fridge and Toxic Radiance are both pretty fantastic, especially since we do already have Ignite Poison. Now buying those gloves is looking real dumb. I could use that 125 gold at the moment. It would have brought us at least a heck of a lot closer to buying the unrestrained Analex here. But hey, let's just survive long enough that it's not going to be an issue in the first place. And then we can pick up that bad boy, shall we? And wow, multiple faded altars. I'm kind of curious. I mean, I can probably sit at this, right? Red, the Shining One, and Oka. Each faded altar is different. That's interesting. It's not very often you get to see multiple faded altars in a single run. I think seeing this kind of altar bastion a little bit earlier would be very cool for setting the tone and giving some interesting options, especially if they were all faded altars. But that's very neat. Who knew? But okie dokie, let's let our friends come right this way. I probably should have prismed against the white pack here, but fortunately not really an issue at the end of the day.